When it comes to the MCU and further expanding the world that these characters live in, I think we can definitely get the sense that the upcoming Marvel Studios TV shows will dive deep into that. Of course, this all starts with WandaVision, so let's talk about the moment from Avengers Infinity War that inspired the entire series. When it comes to WandaVision, I think many of us are excited to see a more slowed down version of a bombastic MCU film. Now we know, as they've said, we're gonna get to that. It's gonna be like The Mandalorian, where by the end, there's a lot of things going on. It's over the top, it's your typical superhero, MCU, giant explosions and all that. But to get to that, we're gonna have more time to spend with these characters. And I think most people will agree that naturally, we all sort of understood that the MCU was going to eventually get to this, since they've been hyping up these types of more personal stories for the better part of a decade now. Now recently, Marvel Studios producer gave a pretty interesting quote about what exactly inspired WandaVision, and it says, and I quote, "I really like the more mundane moments or the small character moments in the MCU. In Infinity War, Wanda and Vision have this moment in Scotland where they put their life as superheroes on pause, and I think that that is very relatable to people. It's the idea of let's hide away from the work and just be and see if this works. And when I pitched Black Widow, I had a lot of what's a real life like in the real world. We took those moments from the MCU that really shine, and I felt great and excited to drop into that space with them for longer." So I think as far back as I can really remember from us hardcore MCU fans, it's those little moments that many of us remember fondly, like Age of Ultron, for example. Even the people that don't necessarily love that movie or even like it will tell you that one of the best moments in that movie is all of them just hanging out together in Avengers Tower and just sort of being friends. And it's these slower moments that I think many of us have wanted to experience in the MCU proper. Now, I know somebody will bring up, well, Daredevil did it and all this. Again, these are not characters that have appeared in all these other things and crossed over with the core Avengers. We're talking about the characters that we've seen in the movies this entire time, but never saw them on their own for a longer period of time, really just experiencing life and what is their life like in this world. This will be our first look into it. And the fact that it's inspired by little moments like, hey, they're in Scotland and they're just kind of living, hiding from public light. I think that's great, because that to me tells me that we can expect more of these stories that aren't necessarily boom, crack, pop, laser in the sky nonsense, which everything eventually just devolves into. Again, nothing wrong with that, but I can only take crumbling buildings and punches into them for so long before I go, well, maybe it should make me care about everything else in this world before that happens, right? So I'm excited to see how they're going to evolve their life from the 50s all the way to the modern day setting, and how they establish these characters before inevitably by the end of it they have to give up their home. And what exactly are they willing to do to fight for it? I think that's going to be kind of awesome to experience that for longer than 2 hours rushed.